if we're able to stop Obama on this, it will be his Waterloo. It will break him.
Well, Alex, enter Minnesota Republican Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. She took to the House floor last night to warn about a provision in the health care bill that she says authorizes school-based health clinics, which she called sex clinics. She said it would lead to students being whisked away during school hours for abortions without parental consent.
Someone's 13-year-old daughter could walk into a sex clinic, have a pregnancy test done, be taken away to the local Planned Parenthood abortion clinic, have their abortion, be back and go home on the school bus that night. Mom and Dad are never the wiser.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to choose as a nation between the homosexual agenda and freedom, because the two cannot coexist. Every advance of the homosexual agenda comes at the expense of liberty, particularly religious liberty.
Congress would make it mandatory, absolutely required, that every 5 years people in Medicare have a required counseling session that will tell them how to end their life sooner.
We're not going to back off on our criticism of the problems of the health care bill, and one aspect of it is the death panel still. If we have our health care paid for by the bureaucracy, by government, we're going to be subject to bureaucrats deciding, which are panels and commissions deciding, just like they do overseas, who will be worthy of receiving the health care that government is going to provide. So that is the death panel that I referred to, and I won't back off on criticizing that aspect of the health care bill.
Sarah Palin on her Facebook page yesterday, I think it was Friday night actually, said that the America I know and love is not one in which my parents or my baby with Down syndrome will have to stand in front of Obama's death panel so as bureaucrats can decide based on a subjective judgment of their level of productivity in society whether they are worthy of health care. Such a system is downright evil. Now, as you know, Mr. Speaker, the President called that outlandish. Yeah. He said the words...
Why don't you put up what Dr. Zeke Emanuel said? Because Dr. Zeke Emanuel, who's the chief advisor to the President and brother of the Chief of Staff, said in writing...
He's not the chief health care advisor. He's written 3 articles between 1996 and 2008 that include some of those phrases.
Include communal standards.
Those phrases appear nowhere in the bill. The only thing in the bill, let me just explain what's in the bill and then get you to respond to that. The only thing in the bill is that it would allow Medicare to pay for what they say is voluntary counseling on end-of-life issues.
I think people are very concerned when you start talking about cost controls, that a bureaucracy, we don't necessarily, you're asking us to trust the government. Now, I'm not talking about the Obama administration, I'm talking about the government. You're asking us to decide that we believe that the government is to be trusted. We know people have said routinely, well, you're going to have to make decisions. You're going to have to decide. Communal standards, historically, is a very dangerous concept.
But it's not in the bill.
But the bill's 1,000 pages of setting up mechanisms.
But that's exactly what's going on in Canada and Great Britain today. They don't have the appreciation of life as we do in our society, evidently. And Dr. O, a lot of people are going to die. This program of government option that's being touted as being this panacea, the savior of allowing people to have quality health care at an affordable price, is going to kill people.
It will not put seniors in a position of being put to death by their government.
We should not have a government program that determines you're going to pull the plug on grandma.
Now, Democrats say there is nothing in this legislation that would pull the plug on grandma or even require people to discuss it. Why did you say that, Senator Grassley?
I said that because 2 reasons. Number one, I was responding to a question at my town meetings. I let my constituents set the agenda. A person that asked me that question was reading from language that they got off of the internet. It scared my constituents.
What she has called death panels.
Specter of death panels.
The death panels. Death panels.
So-called death panels.
Death panels. Death panel. Death panel.
Our senior's going to be in front of a death panel.
The death panel. Death panels. And death panels may in fact be not too far off on the horizon.
Hurry up and die.
The deather part of this bill.
The whole thing's still a death panel?
The whole system is in fact a kind of death panel.
Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel.
Emanuel is on my death list. Hold the applause.
No,
I'm going to be on the death panel.
There's a difference between a living will and a dying will.
Cost-benefit analysis for grant.
You've lived a good life. You don't want to be a burden to your children.
No, you can't have that bypass surgery.
Tell people when they can live and when they can die.
Puts a discount on the lives of elderly people.
There's going to be more funerals. There's going to be more.
If she's 84, out of here.
I don't think we should. And it reduces everyone's life down to a balance sheet.
And virtually given a death.
This is devaluing of human life.
This new Obamacare program comes to fruition. When you reach 65 and every 5 years thereafter, you're going to have a counseling session with some federal airhead. And they're going to ask you if you have a will. They're going to ask you if you want to be resuscitated if you have a heart attack. They're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions that are none of your business. Part of this process is called end-of-life counseling, and part of the end-of-life counseling can be an end-of-life order. You folks review with me a little bit. As I recall, Stalin in the 1920s issued about 20 million end-of-life orders for his fellow Russians. Pol Pot did it during the Vietnam War. He issued about 2 million end-of-life orders. It's being done in Africa today. Mugabe is doing it every day. Adolf Hitler issued 6 million end-of-life orders. He called his program the final solution.